let me show it to you first. Let me set it up into what we're actually entering into. So, journey from the real world into the surreal realms of objective memories and subjective experiences in this psychological thriller. Experimental parapsychology, artificial intelligence, and technology intersect to solve puzzles, unravel dialogue, and seek the truth.
100% of dream reconstructed.
AI research, the influence of social media and brain scanning technology have led to 3 important developments. 1, the creation of the TSB, Technology Safeguard Bureau, whose mission is to maintain democratic structures safe from the abuse of technology. 2, complex international brain scanning regulations that protect private data. 3, the undeniable tension between the world's biggest economies in the wake of a new AI breakthrough. Under this context, the Dreamwalker Project, which performs academic research of the human mind through an AI-assisted brain scanning technology, has been under scrutiny. You had to make a collaborative deal with the new TSB to keep your research alive. Yeah, unfortunately I have no control over the audio in the base menu, which is such a pet peeve of mine for most games. I'm like, literally, you need to have audio configuration in here. And it looks like they don't have it in the game at all. You're going to have to go into Volume Mixer and then lower the game down via Windows. So let's go ahead and do that. That's a little better? Little better? It's a little better, but yeah, it's... I guess this is just how the game feels. It feels like you're walking through water. It feels kind of sluggish, and I'm not sure why. Some of the voiceover initially is just kind of like, I don't know, the whole, like, the brain disk should be in the box. I'm like, who cares? Like, introduce the brain disk. What are we talking about?
I've got nothing to put in there.
Okay. Voiceover's a little something.
This is the first thing I brought in here.
See, it's dialogue like this where I'm like, why do we even have this in here? This is the first thing I brought in. Oh, okay. Okay. I know. Interesting.
I can't believe the loss of performance after adapting them to comply with the new laws. Times are changing indeed.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead. Oh, this is interesting. So in order to fast travel, this is basically your map. That's kind of cool. Looks legit. So I guess maybe what they're trying to say is that you're going to go into her mind, but in order to understand the environment to which you'll be in within her mind, you need to actually go to the physical place too, to see what it actually looks like before then getting into the spin of things in her brain disk or whatever.
Yeah?
Hi. Ooh, this is a weird... Whoa. It's a very weird way to do an interface like this. I'm controlling it with my mouse, but it's not very smooth, as you can tell by it flickering. And I can't really land the mouse properly on it. Oh, you guys don't even see the flicker. There's like, Who Found Her is flickering right now on my end, but you all don't see it. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, so far, like, the concept of taking someone's subconscious and throwing it on a disc to enter into their world, a la, like, Assassin's Creed, is interesting, but so far, like, there's no volume settings in this game. There's no sound settings. The visual settings are very, very minimal, so you can't really change much. There's like a built-in motion blur, which I know a lot of people aren't fans of, and the interface doesn't really feel smooth. So, but we'll see. We're just jumping into it. So I want to give feedback, but I want to be fair to it as well. Let's see here. So, theories.
Thanks.
No problem.
So, already the menu system is not good.
Yeah.
I can't... I want to select theories, who found her, family, and I can't do it. On my end, it shows the words flashing, like theories. Theories right now is flashing for me, but not for you through stream. I can't select anything. It won't let me.
Even so, I don't think there's a possibility someone sneaked in and forced her to take some pills somehow. But don't take my word for it. We don't even have the full autopsy report yet.
So it feels like just the menu systems with the cursor are very finicky, and you have to get it at the right spot for it to work. And I was just going to say that. I like the touch of the police radio. I think that's great, but it's too goddamn loud, and it's really distracting. And unfortunately, because they don't have any volume settings in this game, you can't control it. It's not there. It's not an option, so we can't do anything about it. Because if we lower down the volume more on my end via Windows Mixer, we lower down everything.
It's getting late.
You know, I have to say, there's so much unneeded narrative in this game. Like, you walk up to something and you go, oh, okay, maybe there's some significance. The signifier. And literally it's like, it's getting late. I wonder if this is ever going to get fixed. Why do I care? I've seen so many indie titles do this, and I just look at it like, why, though? Why are you adding unnecessary information? Well, we're trying to, build out the world. Okay, well then give us something more substantial than, this clock is incorrect. This photo looks nice. Like, okay, great. I don't care, but, I'm glad you like it. I like having objectives, and I like hitting tab just to bring it up. That is really nice. It's simple, it's clean, it's there temporarily just enough to read it and then move on. The floor is made out of floor. Hey, I'm just happy I have feet. Look at this. It's a first-person game where you get to have feet. All right, that doesn't happen all the time. What the shit is going on with that clock?
Interesting glitch on the clock.
That's terrifying as hell, actually. All right. I feel like I'm playing Phasmophobia, actually, right now. Hello, are you here? Show us a sign. How old are you? E. Okay, well, old enough. She's old enough. E means enough. She's old enough. Let's go. I'll have to look into that. I've never heard of that one. Oh, shit. What the hell? This is Phasmophobia. Look at this shit. We got like a little girl running at us. We got the baby ghost. Baby ghost, do 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 do. Baby ghost, do 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 do. Baby ghost. Yeah, the clock isn't on the wall anymore.
Evie, do a match with clock data at this spot.
What the shit? Hi, what are you, little person?
Could this be her as a child?
Yeah, so we're gonna see a lot of things that the emotions sort of warp to help fill in the imagery. So you have to jump between different states of mind in order to get a full picture, I guess. But the thing is, you've got to break down the symbolism that brain creates, which again is a very fucking cool concept. Very, very cool. Like, I really enjoy the symbolism in trying to decipher what this woman's mind state was like. Because again, we're filling it in based on the info that we saw, based on the physical cues that she experienced and that she engaged with, but also now we're getting into emotional state and what she heard and everything else, which just really adds on some very funky and very, very cool layers. Very creepy layers. Too bad I can't control the cursor to pick, play, pause, maybe?
Carl sent me this.
There we go.
You know what? I would never have thought that. It's amazing. It really is. I mean, your parents must be very proud. Congratulations to all of you.
Thanks. And we you're delivering it proudly and transparently. With all due respect to Mr. Carl, I think he has
Audio
a
quality's pretty
romantic
nice.
and dangerous
It can
view
tell
of
that we
staying
switched
behind in
rooms.
progress, and pretty typical of this whole.
This balance, many forms of communication are
10 out of 10
partially
gameplay,
generated,
right?
art and culture being two of them. If you
It's an
suppress
interesting
this with
concept,
automation, you
but
might
just
end
too
up needing
long,
it on a much
too long.
bigger, dangerous, and ultimately
better get an
unsatisfactory
achievement.
scale. It's a complex one.
Okay. We are basically destroying our social,
Social ability.
Our full
Narcosis,
spectrum
a
as
really
human
good
beings, and
indie
even our
game that came out in
chances to be
2018,
happy, right?
Yeah, I
did
think
something
so.
similar,
Okay, so let me ask
but
you this.
they
So how
had
is it
the
then
podcast
that with
episode
all the
as a separate
technology we
MP3
already
that came with the
use
game.
day-to-day, the
They
world
also
is
did a
actually better
PDF
place
book
than any other
that was
time on
supposed to
Earth?
blur the
I do
lines
think
between
there are
our
arguments
reality and the
against
game.
that.
We have our problems.
But it was additional.
but
This
we are
in-game,
healthier, better fed, more educated, while
little
AI
too long.
houses do everyday things.
There was a mission like
Then
this
that
was counted as an
time with our
epic
friends,
mission
family,
4
reading,
hours
or
later.
exercise. The bad side of things, like
Actually, if you
global
notice too, by the
warming,
way,
poverty,
while
or
we're
kids
standing,
stuck on cell phones,
the
are
character
not
does waver,
technology's fault.
because human
It's
beings
us
don't
who have to learn to
stand
harness the
straight and
power
in place.
properly. Teach our children.
That's a
how we
nice little
control
touch.
fire in the past. When we dissolve maybe even
It's
bigger
not
problems.
coded in a way where
using a
if you're in a different
calculator.
room, that's the impact factor like walls. It's literally distance. Because when you get
Can't
here,
simulate quantum behavior without
the
the
same
help
volume.
of a computer. So it's time the
When you get
calculator becomes
here,
something more essential.
it's the same
Something
volume.
Your instinct can depend
So it's based on
and use in a split
distance.
second. It's just a tool.
rather
doesn't
than
stop
the
making
walls.
you
So
who
this
you
is
are.
like, I was like, oh wow,
just
that's a nice
paranoia.
touch
The
until we
same
got
that appeared
here.
on every other technological advance.
I mean, I will say the actors who did that interview actually were pretty good. It was pretty nice delivery. You know, it felt like some of it was rehearsed in a sense, but it should. Like that, the guy from Go AT should have that stuff kind of rehearsed, like he said it so often and stuff like that. There were some nice hesitations and like moments that felt more natural. And yeah, I mean, they talked like they were on a podcast, actually. That was pretty solid. It went on for too long, but it was pretty solid.
Anything you can find on it is useful.
Understood. Please leave it in the scanning hardware, and I'll do my best.
Oof, that Eevee delivery, man. Try to sound like an AI. Okay, here we go. All right. Yeah, the voiceover for Eevee sounds like I'm a person trying to sound robotic, rather than someone just saying, okay, just speak in a way where you're monotone enough, but you're still natural sounding. And then let someone in post-production edit in bigger pauses if they need to. Or, let them kind of space it out how they want. Because ideally, if you ever do voiceover, especially when you're doing automated systems like Cortana and whatnot, those type of voiceovers, you want to be monotone, but you want to sound friendly enough. And you're just trying to deliver information. That's literally all you're doing. So it's like I feel like the voiceover person was trying too hard or was directed to try too hard instead of just doing it naturally. I do like the fact that, pieces of things are missing or distorted, because that really is, when we look back, kind of how our memories work. We don't always fully remember every detail. Our mind kind of fills in, which it does in real life too, right? We have a natural blind spot in the center of our eye because of our optic nerve. And so with that, our brain actually fills in the dead space, but we all have a blind spot. And our brain just fills it in. Oh, it's the puppy that we saw the photo of that was following us around creepily in her apartment. What the fuck is that over there? Okay, well. Oh, okay. So the parents dancing here. It's a spoon, asteroids, and the sun.
Her own version of things. Such beautiful innocence. There's also that spoon again, orbiting the sun. Interesting.
So she likes spoons. And her family was her whole solar system. I have no idea. All right. Nope, that's a big fuck no on that. And I feel like this game just doesn't do quite a good job of introducing certain things that are actually at your fingertips, which as the main character, you would know these things, but as the player, you feel utterly lost. And that unfortunately then creates this disconnect with you and the character, right? Here you are supposed to be playing this character that's supposed to be the one who created this technology, and yet you have no idea how to use it. And the developers really don't do enough justice to actually introduce you to certain aspects or certain things that are actually available to you. And I love the concept of going through subjective and objective and having them each different in their own right. See, like, this is the same spot, but now we're experiencing something very different at the same time. And certain audio cues are different, certain visual cues. Like, it's very cool. Again, I just feel like it just, and the symbolism is great, because sometimes the mind of a person will attach certain elements of a memory to things, to representations. So I think that's cool. It definitely, and it gets you thinking on a different level as a player. But it's just the game gets in its own way, I feel like is the best description. Now I will say, I think this is a cool concept. You know, we walked through the halls of this house, of this apartment building, when it was rich, when it was filled with life. And now to come back into it in reality and see it so disheveled, but still seeing hints of it. It's definitely interesting, you know, to be able to play with time and see what once was and what is now. And how so many things have changed, and how so many memories are lost, you know? So many things that they shared here are no longer here anymore. Is it here?
Evie, do a match
Hey.
with the door right here.
Hey, miss, how's it going? This place is eerie as fuck. What the? Oh no, game. Oh no, no, no. Did you do something? Oh no. Game, what did you do? What did you do, game? It brought the door back. How did it bring the door back? Oh, it didn't save properly when I left yesterday. Ah, fucking hell, man. That is beyond frustrating. This game is already a little frustrating, let alone it not saving properly. And that second piece of raw data goes here. It completes this whole thing, the hands and the wall and stuff like that. This door then opens up. How are we able to go through it? So this is a glitch. The door actually isn't supposed to be here. It should be showing the two guards with the plague masks and no door. And instead it shows a door, but we can walk through it. Hopefully we can do this from here. Ooh, damn that scream. Fuck me. Ah, son of a bitch. Jesus Christ. All right. Ugh. Fuck that scream. Ah. Blech. Like, the audio does such a good job of unnerving you. Like, that's been really impressive. Sometimes it's a little too much, but it's done well. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Hey, it's a California raisin. That's what that is. There we go. It's a California raisin this whole time. Hold on. Can we go to the subjective? Let's see. Regret everything. I regret everything. Regretting everything. I still love the fact that you can bounce back and forth between objective and subjective, and that they look different in some respects. Things do vary, and that all had to be programmed and designed out. So that is insanely impressive to do all that work. I will say that.
That creature jumped right.
I actually love this bit. I think this bit is so damn cool visually. Going from the apartment to elevator to lobby to car in such a short amount of time, but there's enough information where you can pick up on it. The road coming through here into the club, which honestly looks like a freaking asylum. Like, this gives me Arkham Asylum vibes. You know, after a while in games of questionable VO, you start to get used to it. Yeah, it's like, the voiceover in the game isn't terrible, but it is lacking some emotion or gravity to the situations it's seeing. And some of the lines in the game just don't need to be said at all, too. I feel like you go to random things and they're just like, a book. Again, not as, I'm simplifying it quite a bit, but it's just like, you get to the point where it's like, okay, well, that doesn't need to be said, though. Like, we could have been fine without it. We can visually see the door is open, something is missing. But it feels like an incomplete film or not a complete, or an incomplete game either way, in a sense. It's like they want to try to do this really cool story, but it just feels like it's missing stuff. There's certain things that should have been buttoned up tighter earlier on in order to pick up the pace and feel that rhythm, because it's a shorter game. But then at the end, it's like all of a sudden just like almost too fast in some respects. Now, mind you, I've played more than I'd like to admit of terrible games. I don't think this is a terrible game. I just think it needed more time. It needed maybe a little bit more budget, but it needed that experience of like tightening things up, and sometimes explaining things in areas where they didn't, and not explaining things in areas where they did. You know, like just having a better understanding of how to hold the player's hand in some respects here and there, to guide them in a sense. Hold their hand without looking like you are. Exactly, because the thing is that as a developer, you're a magician, basically. You're letting the player think they have control when they really don't. You have so many different elements that are coming together to truly guide the player properly to where they need to, so that way they have the best experience. Otherwise, like in many of these zones or puzzles, we're just meandering about going, I don't know what the developer wants me to do now. It's not so much I don't know what the puzzle wants me to do, I don't know what the developer wants me to do, which is very different. And it's up to the developer, again, to create that sort of illusion of choice to the player. Now, we do get that with the choices that we make, with what we say to the people, which so far doesn't seem like we have much of an impact on that, but I don't know, maybe another playthrough would show otherwise. From what I'm seeing thus far, it doesn't really seem like there is much impact on what you say or choose. It's still going to unravel the way it does. There might be just a few new lines or something. But overall, it just feels like some of that understanding is missing in this game, of that illusion of choice and just pushing the player along, especially when it is a shorter game, which doesn't mean lack of quality by any means. I've played games that were 3 hours long that absolutely blew my mind. But it's how you guide the player through without them realizing. It's in the invisible hand that takes them along for a ride. And it's so important to have that energy and to have those elements working in that direction and guiding the player to keep up that energy and keep the player wanting to play. And there are moments in this game, especially like in that last memory in King Heaven and stuff, where everything was so crazy, where you definitely wanted that there. You definitely needed that there, but there were times where it just didn't feel like that. And you're just meandering around and you're not sure what you're looking at. So there is that to think about for this. Well, I'm gonna say right now, this game felt like a massive waste of time. Just a massive waste of time. They were trying to cover so much in such little time, And things could have been tighter and they could have hit on so much more in a more efficient way. And this isn't, I don't know. I'm disappointed. I feel like they were just trying to hit on so many things and it just muddled it all up. There were just too many actions happening, too many storylines, and they're trying to piece it all together, but there isn't enough time. But yet there were other places where they could have made up that time, and it just had so much air in it. It had so much air in the very beginning. It wasn't till around chapter 4 of 5 where things really started to pick up and become interesting. But I think a lot of people playing this game would have dropped off at chapter 3. I was tempted to. I didn't even know if I really wanted to complete it, but I'm like, well, no, I want to do this review and I want to do it fairly. And I just feel let down by this end. I just do. It just feels like there was too many things that they were trying to incorporate, trying to do, and nothing feels solid. And everything just feels lacking. I was really hoping the end would bring everything together, and it didn't. It absolutely did not. It's like, we're just going to try to get you to make hard choices. But why? To what end? For what reason? The most of the game feels like padding and then abracadabra, you're dead. Yeah, that basically sums it up. Most of the game feels like padding, and then you get to chapter 4, and then all of a sudden, abracadabra, you're just dead. And what you did not matter. Just does not matter. And it's just so disappointing because it feels like such a waste of time. To what end? To what point? Why the fuck do we care? It has nothing to do with the murder, you know? I feel like they had these higher mind concepts. They're like, wouldn't it be awesome to put it in a game? Okay, how do we fit it in? And then they tried to squeeze the story into the concepts. And they said, oh, great, we're going to showcase these concepts. But then the story just takes a back seat. But then what's the point of the story? It's not that it's bad. Like, I think they've done a good job with a lot of different things here. And I think, like, from a visual storytelling perspective, they've done a very cool job. They've taken a risk and they've pushed it as far as they could with what they had. And I think visually, this game can and will inspire many people down the line of how they can tell a story and how they can showcase memories and how they can showcase dreams and stuff like that. I really do believe that with this game, this can inspire a new way of showcasing visualizations of things that we normally don't really think about or don't try to push to this level. So that's very cool, and that's props to them on that. But from a plot point of view, from a story point of view, from a character development point of view, it just takes a back seat to everything else. And it just feels like, oh, okay, well, we've got to tie loose ends up together, and then there you go. Because overall, the philosophy, the concepts are bigger than the story, which, yes, they are, but you don't want to leave the story behind either. You know what I mean? You got to give us a reason to care about the person we're hunting, why we're investing this time. You got to give us a reason to care about the person we're controlling to go through the world. Like, mystery, intrigue, and warped reality can only do so much, right? And so that's what happens in this game, is that you get through those, and those things at least keep pulling you, though your character seems pretty damn bland, and overall the people around you seem pretty bland. But you're like, okay, but what's next? What's next? Let's keep going with this and see where we're taken. Only then to, like, just hit a brick wall and be like, well, that's the end. Have a good one. Bye. You know, it'd be like if I was streaming, we got into an intense moment and just went, well, that's the end. Okay, see you later, guys. And I turned off the stream. That's the feeling that I've gotten from the end of this. I was really hoping that the ending of the game would make it so that way I was like, okay, you know what? I'm glad I stuck with it. And I would totally say, you know what? For the visuals and for showing visually how dreams could look and trying to represent that the best they could in a very creative way, and memories and stuff like that, while hitting on very dense topics, I would say 7 out of 10. Again, arbitrary number on a scale of 1 to 10 sort of thing. And again, it's going to vary between people what that 7 means, what that 6 means, or 5 or 4. Because of this ending, And because of still the lack of information throughout the whole story and feeling a lack of purpose of anything that we did, besides just to showcase concepts, I would say 5 out of 10 for what that's worth. For what that's worth. There's some really cool things here that aren't quite fully developed. There are some very cool things that are fully developed. And then there are some things that just aren't. And on the scale, they just balance each other out. So that's why I would say 5 out of 10. The audio was great. Some of the visual entities that we see were really cool. How the world changed between the utilization of subjective and objective. Really awesome ideas. I love that. Once again, though, there was stuff missing. You know, caring about the characters, having gravity with the actions the characters were doing, and caring about those moments. And I'd say too that there are plenty of times, which I've said previously, where there were just times where the developer didn't help guide the player where they needed it, but then tried to guide them in places they didn't need it, like having voiceover for like, oh, I'm glad I have this backup generator, foreshadowing to the fact that, well, how does he have this power to power this thing during a storm when there's no power? Well, I have this backup generator. Like, that's stuff that could have been cut out you didn't need, you know? So it's like you tried to guide us in one way in places we didn't need it, but then didn't guide us in the places we did need it. And it just elongated the game and put so much air into the game. And I don't have problems with walking sims. I like walking sims. I like point and clicks. I love good narratives. This had a good start toward that, but just couldn't nail it. Just could not nail it. It's kind of like we have the outfit, but not really the body needed for the full experience. You know what I mean? It's like we've got a suit hanging on a hanger, but it's empty. And we really needed a good fleshed out body to fill that suit, and we just don't have it here. Some places maybe, the arm, the leg, the foot, but in its entirety, we don't have that. And I think that's the unfortunate thing, and why I just feel so deflated at the end. And so, in a way, frustrated too. Because I really wanted to like this. It seemed really, really cool. And when I looked up the description, I was like, this is awesome. This sounds great. This is, something that sounds like we need more of. And it just couldn't deliver. So that's my 2 cents on that.